Today we're going to be talking about Cubans. Why? Well, because I fucking love Cubans, that's why. I know you're thinking to yourself, but DWB, isn't Cuba a communist country? Yes, it is. I didn't say I liked the country of Cuba, I said I loved Cubans. And I love Cubans because Cubans fucking hate communism. Because they've had to live under communism. It's not like these little fucking soy girls out here that have never had to live under it and just have some kind of delusional fantasy about it. These are people who have lived this shit.
You tell your guys in Miami, your friend, it'd be a pleasure. I kill a communist for fun, but for a green card, I'm gonna carve him up real nice.
Now, Al Pacino, you might be shocked to learn, not Cuban, but there were Cubans all over the set. They helped him form this character, and he really does capture, and especially in the early part of the movie, the desperation of people leaving Cuba.
Get him out of here. Come on. Let's go.
Wait, so I fuck up.
Come on.
Let me talk to this guy. Please. Let me talk to him, my man. You a communist? Huh? How'd you like it? They tell you all the time what to do, what to think, what to feel. Do you want to be like a cheap? Like all those other people, man?
I don't have to listen to this bullshit.
Do you want to work 8, 10 fucking hours? You own nothing? You got nothing? Do you want a Chivado on every corner, man, looking after you, watching everything you do, everything you say, man? Do you know I eat octopus 3 times a day? I got fucking octopus coming out of my fucking ears, man. I got the fucking Russian shoes, my feet's coming through. How'd you like that? What do you want me to stay there and do nothing? Hey, I'm no fucking criminal, man. I'm no put of a thief. I'm Tony Montana, a political prisoner from Cuba. And I want my fucking human right. Now, just like the president, Jimmy Carter says.
Oh, Jimmy Carter. You guys remember when the Democrat Party, when liberals weren't the party of communism? Because Tony Montana remembers. But enough with fictional characters. Let's talk about Maximo Alvarez. This is a guy whose father escaped communism in Spain, went to Cuba, escaped it again in Cuba, and drug him, Maximo Alvarez, to the United States. Which is great, because now he gets to speak at the Republican National Convention, and the media can completely ignore him like he never said a fucking word.
Listen to them. Learn the truth. Those false promises. Spread the wealth. Free education. Free health care. Defund the police. Trust the socialist state more than your family and your community. They don't sound radical to my ears. They sound familiar. And Fidel Castro was asked if he was a communist. He said he was a Roman Catholic. He knew he had to hide the truth.
Yeah, common themes, my friends. Common fucking themes. Dog whistles, you know? I've talked about this so many times. Because what these guys do all the time, I've interacted with them a lot. Like I said, I used to actually be on their side when I was really young, because public education left me with a serious distaste for America in general. But what they'll do is they will sit there and espouse communist, socialist, Marxist talking points. They will further the communist strategy. They will push for it, push for it. They yell their slogans. They raise money for them, and then they say, "I'm not a communist. I'm a Roman Catholic." And then they will gaslight you and say that you're crazy and everything's communism to you, and you one of the biggest ones. You don't know what communism is. These are things that they will always go to, or they will say, you know, the not real communism line. I really love that. Just so everyone knows, that when someone says not real communism, what they mean is, well, yeah, communism killed hundreds of millions of people, but it would be different if I was in charge.
But the country I was born in is gone, totally destroyed. When I watch the news in Seattle, Chicago, Portland, and other cities, when I see the history being rewritten, when I hear the promises I've heard echoes of the former life I never wanted to hear again. I see shadows I thought I had outrun. My parents only wanted one person to decide my fate, me. Not some party member, not some government official, not some bureaucrat. In America, I would decide my own future. I am so grateful to America, the place where I was able to build my American dream through hard work and determination. President Trump knows that the American story was written by people just like you and I, who love our country and take risks to build a future for our families and neighbors. I may be a Cuban born, but I am 100% American. This is the greatest country in the world. And I said this before. If I gave away everything that I have today, it would not equal 1% of what I was given when I came to this great country of ours. The gift of freedom. Right now, it is up to us to decide our fate and to choose freedom over oppression.
That, my friends, is the long and short of it. It is freedom over oppression. That's what this country was based on. That's what it needs to be. But see, we're in a culture war right now with the communists. And we really are. And we're not winning right now. We're just not winning. They have control of the culture. They have control of Hollywood, most of the news media. They have control over the education, and that is the biggest thing, the education. And I got another thing for you coming up right here. Now, while I could just continue to show you more and more Cubans talking about how horrible Cuba was, how people would be starving, and there would be lobsters in the water right there. But if you jumped in the water and grabbed a lobster, they would throw you in jail for it. And I could show you guys talking about that. I could do this all day. I could show you hundreds of testimonials of people who've escaped it in Cuba. But I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. And I'm going to talk about what's going on in education. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, I did a video on a gentleman named Eric Mann. And in that video, I talk about BLM and their connection to the Weathermen, the amount of money that they raised. I talked a little bit about Susan Rosenberg. I've mentioned her several times in different videos. I have not gotten around to doing my hit piece on Susan Rosenberg, but please believe that that shit's coming down the pipe. Now, what the deal is here is Black Lives Matter, all their money went to a group called Thousand Currents. It's headed by Susan Rosenberg, who's a radical communist terrorist who has sought to overthrow the government through violent means in order to enact a communist revolution. And she's been wanting to do this since the fucking 70s, the 60s maybe, I don't fucking know. She's an old hag. But I've been wondering what they're going to do with this money. I mean, you can only... Fund and protest don't cost much money when you got guys out looting and shit. But I think I figured out where the money's going. And I'm going to show you here.
Greetings, Patriots. My name is Matt Moss. I am in East Los Angeles, California. I'm a conservative. I love my country. I love my president. And I had to bring a very urgent message to you. I'm really asking for help for a lot of you on the conservative side. I wanted to share day 4 what my daughter is being taught in her school over here in East LA. You got the anti-fascist, you have the Black Panthers Power to the People logo, or the Chinese CCP communist logo. This is communism. This is Marxism being taught in our schools. This is the 4th day. I don't have a lot of allies out here. Thank God for all of you on Twitter. But I'm begging you, Donald Trump, Scott Pressler, anybody who will listen to me, anyone out there, please seriously help me. Spread this message around. This is what's being taught in the schools. I actually talked to the principal today. She was a very nice lady. I'm not going to say her name. And she said Black Lives Matter is working with The school, she told me flat out, the school is working with BLM. This should frighten anyone and everybody. Ridiculous. Please retweet, share at Real Donald Trump, please. I need your help. Please come to East LA. Seriously, you have no idea. This is ridiculous. I'm an open heart surgery survivor, as you guys can see. I don't need to be dealing with this. My kids should be going to school and learning about, American history and good things, not dividing the country. This is ridiculous. Please share and retweet. Thank you.
Okay, and then here's someone who shared the screen. It says if anyone is curious to read the screen, this is a weekly short period that is teaching not just about something, but teaching them to do something. The screen says Thursday's intro into anti-racist practice and education. Lessons on how to wake up, take action, and do the work. During Thursday's advisory time, we will deep dive into anti-racist practices. We will learn about our own social identities, race, racism, prejudice, and history. We will also learn how to take action and become a true ally. I'm really interested. I would like to see what the anti-racist practices entail. But down here in the corner, you can also see a reply from a young person. As a young person, I don't really see anything wrong with this. What's so bad about teaching kids about racial issues that are very prominent in today's society and that we should do something about the prejudice other people face? Should we not be taught about equality, LMAO? And see, that is the big misunderstanding, is this is not really about what everyone thinks it's about. It's a Trojan horse. It is intersectionalism. It is Marxism. And I've not done a video explaining exactly how that is, but maybe I do need to do that. But I do have a feeling that most people that are following me already know exactly how intersectionalist theory breaks everyone down into different classes. But in the end, it's only really two classes, the oppressed versus the oppressors, and then the Marxists organize the oppressed classes to overthrow the government for a Marxist revolution. And it's an old, ancient strategy. They act like it's fucking new. It's from 1920s. I mean, Jesus Christ. And here we have another screen of the things that are being taught, an example of why sourcing is important. Source number one, these our pictures were published by NBC. It literally says that. So this is what they're teaching kids, shit fucking grammar, right? These are pictures were published by NBC. The first is of Obama's first inauguration on January 20th, 2009, and the second of Trump's on January 20th, 2017. Which one of these pictures looks like there were more people? I don't know if you remember this, but this was some fucking stupid news battle shit. Source 2 is the White House Secretary's inaugural claims. What? Some members of the media were engaged in deliberately false reporting. We know that 42,000 people used the D.C. Metro Public Transport yesterday, which actually compares to 317 that used it for President Obama's, blah, 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 blah. And, whatever. But the point is, the speech was made by Press Secretary Sean Spicer, who wrote and created the documents. Spicer, he works for the president. Yeah. Spicer's motive and job is to make the president look good. That's what it says. His motive with this statement is to make it seem that President Trump is more popular and liked more than President Obama. Which source are we going to trust is true? Now, this is a brainwashing thing here. It's where they're training kids not to trust anything that doesn't come from left-wing sources, like NBC. And they'll surely attribute motive to whoever they want, and they'll attribute whatever motive to whatever they want in order to paint things in a certain light, while simultaneously pretending like they don't have their own motive, while they're using all the money that they use to raise for Black Lives Matter to brainwash kids into this fucking Marxist intersectionalism. But, people always have motives for things that they do. They do all kinds of things. They have all kinds of different motives to do them. My personal motive to do the things that I'm doing is I fucking hate commies. I hate Marxism. I hate socialism. Socialism is communism. They'll sit there and say it's not all the time. You look up the definition of the word socialism, then look up the definition of the word communism, then look up the definition of the word own or control. And you just look at those things right there, and you can see there is no fucking difference between communism and socialism. These people are stupid. So, indeed, we are losing the culture war, as they've had control of higher education for a very long time, and now they're taking control of elementary education, and they're getting these kids when they're younger and younger. This stuff that was going on, that's going on in LA. The strategy center's in LA. That's where Eric Mann is from. He used to go into schools. He went into schools and plucked out Alicia Garza and Patrice Cullors, and they're the founders of Black Lives Matter, and he trained them. Now they've got all this money, all this resources, and they're using it to do the same thing. So they'll be, 10 years from now, there'll be 50 Patrice Cullors because of these people. But you know what? Let's get back to talking about people I love. Cubans. Matter of fact, I'm just going to let this fucking guy tell his story because it's actually amazing. And remember, don't be a fucking commie.
My name is Ray, and I escaped socialism in Cuba, windsurfing across the ocean for 10 hours. If socialism were that good, do you think all these people were escaping Cuba? Socialism ruins people's life. I can't believe there's Americans that want that for us here. This is the thing, socialism looks beautiful on a book. And it might taste even good in the first year or so when you're implementing it. But then things start rotting. This memory scored my brain. My mom breaking down furniture to make fire. We were destroying our own furniture to boil potatoes. In Cuba, eating a lobster is illegal. You go diving, you grab one lobster, you can get 6 years in jail. But the government gets them by boats, by tons. All the policemen in Cuba will live way better than us. All the government, not even mention that, way better. The elite, they live in a bubble. That's socialism for you. One day I got enough, grabbed my windsurfing equipment, went to a very isolated side of the city with a straight shot to the ocean, away from the bay, and I took off. And I remember reaching the conclusion, and this is a messed up part that if you want socialism, you should wonder about this. You should wonder why I reached the conclusion that dying there would be even better than ever be back. I'd reached the conclusion that I would take the decision to put my head under the water and take 3 deep breaths of water, and I would die drowning with a big smile on my face because I knew I was free. This is the first time in my life I was free. I get picked up at the Coast Guard boat, I get sent back to Cuba, and I get my paperwork from the U.S. Embassy, or interest section, and it took me 3 years of processing the case, exchanging mail, going to the capital in Havana and submitting my paperwork. September 2007, I came to U.S. as a political refugee. Keep in mind, this is my first flight ever. I've never been on a plane before, and here I am. By the time the plane's approaching New York City, it is at night already. It's dark. Seeing that, I was amazing, very impressive. So that very first day in 2007, after landing in New York, my friends took me to this restaurant. And you have to keep in mind, beef is also illegal in Cuba. An eatable item, illegal. And I'm sitting there, and I'm having in front of me this maybe 1.5 pound cheeseburger with another humongous side of fries on the side. And I can't avoid, it's a mix of feelings because I'm feeling grateful that I'm here able to eat a piece of meat, and at the same time I feel guilt because people are going to prison for that and my family can't even eat that. I'm sitting there sending away half of the plate because I can't finish it. And up to this point today, I think I'm gonna kill myself about stuffing food down my throat because I cannot send food back to the trash. I refuse to do that, and that's my fight all the time with my kids today. That's another thing that I'm afraid of and I'm scared of, that they're gonna grow up, yeah, with the stories, but it's not gonna be the same, living it, of how lucky they are of being here, something that simple as a piece of meat. That in other places, in a socialist place, it will get you to jail. Now we are here and these liberals are trying to feed us down the throat, and Bernie Sanders, a freaking guy, a guy that's friend with the Castros and talking beautiful things about the Cuban system. I was there, I sucked it up. Why Bernie Sanders failed to tell you that in Cuba, you can go to prison in Cuba for eating something? How? I don't like hands out. So I always wanted to be a part of the service. And I went to the army. I enlisted in 2010, and I got the opportunity to serve a year in Afghanistan. I own my life and my kids' life and the future that they can have. to this nation, and that's why I went in service, to feel and be able to tell anybody that can challenge that around me that I earned it. Nobody gave me anything. I earned it. I earned my right to vote, I earned my right to speak, and I earned my right to tell you right now why socialism sucks.